Not stopping at Russia's Vladivostok, China is eyeing a piece of Alaska in the Arctic. As Chinese President Xi Jinping's brand of Chinese expansionism takes shape, Beijing seems to be turning belligerent in the entire Indo-Pacific region from the Himalayas bordering southern China to the Russian Far East territory, including the city of Vladivostok, towards China's northeast. But one would be grossly mistaken to think that Chinese expansionism will stop at Vladivostok. China's expansionism is going to turn polar and go as far as the Arctic. In fact, China's preposterous claim over Vladivostok is actually an attempt to flex muscles in the Arctic. And the aftershocks of Chinese expansionism are going to be felt as far away as the United States. The White House need not look very far as China is already eyeing a strategic U.S. territory Alaska as a part of the Dragon's attempt to gain a foothold in the Arctic, by the time the climatically fragile region melts down and becomes amenable to international trade and commerce. Interestingly, Alaska, which was purchased by the U.S. from Russia way back in 1867. At that time, many wouldn't have predicted that Alaska would once become a strategic hotspot and, therefore, 1.519 million square kilometers of Russian territory was sold to the U.S. for a meager sum of $7.2 million. In present-day prices, the U.S. is estimated to have paid Russia $3.19 for every hectare of Alaska, and in 1867, the deal cost every American taxpayer around 5 cents. Alaska's present-day value is, of course, much higher as three formidable giants Russia, the US and China battle it out for the melting Arctic that is expected to be ice-free by 2044, hence, literally opening up a sea of opportunities in terms of trade and naval activities. For China, gaining a stronghold in Alaska is indispensable given its proximity to the Arctic and strategic location. China calls itself a near-Arctic state, though it happens as far away from the Arctic than Poland. So, how does China reach the Arctic? The Chinese plan seems to be to stake claim over the Russian Far East that could take Beijing as far as the Bering Strait, a strategic choke point which is only 55 miles wide at its narrowest point and divides the Russian Far East from Alaska. It is the only marine route from the Pacific Ocean to the Arctic, making Alaska of incredible importance for China's Arctic ambitions. It is, therefore, no surprise that China is gaining a lot of interest in Alaska, from hydrocarbons exploration to tourism. Chinese proximity to Alaska is bound to be seen at loggerheads with Trump administration's trade wars against Beijing. Therefore, when Xi Jinping visited the U.S. in 2017, he stopped at Alaska, and not the Silicon Valley after leaving from the Mar-a-Lago summit with U.S. President Donald Trump. There is a reason why Jinping wanted to discuss business in Alaska and not California, which is otherwise the hotspot of American business circles. China wants to invest heavily in Alaska's oil and gas exploration sector. During Xi Jinping's 2017 visit, the then Alaska Governor Bill Walker had pitched his state's liquefied natural gas, LNG, potential before the Chinese president. When Trump visited China a few months later, the White House announced a memorandum of understanding for the $43 billion Alaska LNG project. China is also promoting tourism in Alaska. Almost a decade ago, Alaska was barely known as a destination to Chinese tourists, but it is now becoming a favorite amongst many Chinese travelers. And apart from all the soft power that China is bringing to the table, 5 Chinese ships were spotted by the Pentagon off Alaska coast in 2015, exposing China's expansionist ambitions in the region. This is how Chinese expansionism works. Investments in soft power display are generally followed by maritime face-offs as Chinese communist hardliners bring in so-called historical maps, or even otherwise stake a claim on territories that vest in other countries or powers. Of course, China's interests are hardly limited to Alaska. The Dragon wants to gain complete control of the Arctic, which will be melting extensively over the next few decades, to open new shipping lanes, helping Beijing get over the Malacca dilemma and also fuel the energy-hungry Dragon's hydrocarbon needs.